Working hard for 8 hours every day is the foundation of building wealth and financial success. What if I told you that working 8 hours a day is designed to keep you poor, while wealthy people work 2 hours and make millions? This sounds logical because we're taught that effort and time create value in the workplace. But something's wrong when you work longer hours every year yet feel poor inside. Everyone knows that successful people work hard and put in long hours. You see stories about entrepreneurs working 18-hour days to build their empires. Why do people who work the most hours often struggle financially, while those who work fewer hours accumulate vast wealth? This sounds like hard work pays off because we see busy people achieving success. We're taught that dedication and time investment lead to financial rewards automatically. But something doesn't add up when the hardest workers remain the poorest people. The 8-hour workday trap works by turning your time into someone else's profit. Poor people sell their hours, while wealthy people buy other people's hours. While you trade time for money, wealthy people trade money for time. If this kind of systematic time extraction disguised as honest work interests you, subscribe to Prof. John Explained and share this video with someone working long hours for low pay. They need to understand how the time game actually works. The system creates completely different relationships with time, depending on your economic position. When we talk about working hard, we mean totally different activities for different classes. For poor people, working hard means selling your time by the hour. They trade their most valuable resource directly for immediate survival needs. They believe that more hours equals more money and eventual success. For wealthy people, working hard means buying other people's time cheaply. They purchase labor from multiple people and profit from their combined efforts. They understand that owning time creates more value than selling time. Think about the last time someone gave you career advice. Did they tell you to work more hours or buy other people's hours? This explains something curious about how wealth actually gets created in society. The people working the longest hours rarely become the wealthiest individuals. The people working the shortest hours often control the most resources. The difference isn't about effort, intelligence, or dedication to work at all. It creates systematically different time relationships, where some people sell while others buy. But here's where it gets interesting about the 8-hour workday system. The standard work schedule wasn't designed to help workers build wealth. It was designed to extract maximum value from workers' time efficiently. Consider how the 8-hour workday actually came into existence historically. Factory owners needed consistent labor schedules to maximize production and profit margins. They calculated the optimal time extraction rate that workers could sustain. The 8-hour day represents a compromise between worker demands and owner profits. Workers wanted shorter hours, while owners wanted longer hours for production. 8 hours became the standard that balanced these competing interests effectively. But this compromise was designed to benefit owners more than workers completely. Workers get just enough time to rest and return tomorrow. Owners get consistent productivity and profit from workers' time allocation. The 8-hour system also ensures that workers remain dependent on wages. They don't have enough free time to develop alternative income sources. They can't build businesses or learn new skills during work. Meanwhile, wealthy people structure their time around profit generation rather than schedules. They focus on activities that create ongoing income without constant effort. They build systems that generate money while they sleep or travel. Do you spend your time making money for someone else's business? Or do you spend time building systems that make money for you? The 8-hour trap also exploits what economists call time asymmetry between classes. Poor people must sell their time immediately to meet survival needs. They can't invest time in long-term wealth building without risking starvation. Wealthy people can invest time in projects that pay off years later. They don't need immediate returns because they already have income streams. They can afford to develop businesses, relationships, and investments over time. This time asymmetry creates compound advantages that grow over decades and generations. Poor people stay trapped in immediate time for money exchanges, while wealthy people accumulate time-leveraged assets that generate increasing returns without direct effort. The system becomes even more sophisticated when we examine how different classes, poor people are taught that working long hours demonstrates character and virtue. They believe that sacrificing time shows dedication and eventually leads to success. Wealthy people are taught that working long hours demonstrates poor time management. They focus on efficiency, delegation, and systems rather than personal effort. They measure success by results rather than time invested in activities. This creates what psychologists call effort orientation versus results orientation in thinking. Poor people optimize for time spent working, while wealthy people optimize. Poor people feel productive when they work long hours consistently. Wealthy people feel productive when they generate income with minimal time. They focus on profit per hour rather than hours worked. They understand that time is their most valuable and limited resource. But there's something even more insidious about how the 8-hour system, the standard workday, prevents people from understanding how wealth works. They're too busy working to study wealth creation or business. Poor people spend 8 hours working, 2 hours commuting, and remaining time. They don't have time to learn about investments, business ownership, or they remain ignorant about wealth building because work consumes their energy. Meanwhile, wealthy people spend their time learning about markets, opportunities, and systems. They study how to multiply money rather than trading time. They develop knowledge that creates ongoing advantages in wealth building. The time allocation difference affects skill development between poor and wealthy people. Poor people develop job skills that help them sell time efficiently. Wealthy people develop wealth skills that help them buy time profitably. Poor people become experts at their specific jobs, but remain ignorant. Wealthy people become experts at wealth creation across multiple industries. They understand principles that apply regardless of specific business details. Can you think of any wealthy person who got rich by working? Or did they get rich by owning businesses that others work? The 8-hour system also creates what economists call wage dependency among workers. People become psychologically attached to steady paychecks rather than profit generation. They prefer security over opportunity because bills require consistent payment. This wage dependency prevents people from taking risks that might lead they can't afford to miss paychecks while building businesses. They choose immediate income over long-term wealth building because survival. Wealthy people understand that wages are the enemy of wealth building. They avoid wage dependency by creating multiple income sources quickly. They use profits from one venture to fund others rather. The wage system also affects how people think about money and time. Poor people see money as something you get by giving time. Wealthy people see money as something you use to buy time. This fundamental difference in money-time relationships affects every financial decision people make. Poor people ask, how many hours do I work for? Wealthy people ask, how can I buy someone else's hours profitably? Have you ever calculated how much your time is actually worth? Or do you just accept whatever hourly rate someone offers? The 8-hour trap becomes particularly sophisticated when we examine how poor people are taught that working long hours eventually leads to, they believe that dedication and loyalty will be rewarded with raises. But the 8-hour system is designed to prevent exactly this outcome. Workers who demonstrate they can handle long hours simply get assigned. They don't get promoted to ownership positions where time leverage. The system rewards time-selling behavior with more time-selling opportunities rather than poor people who work hardest often become indispensable in their current. They can't be promoted because replacing them would be difficult. Meanwhile, wealthy people focus on becoming indispensable through systems and delegation completely. They build businesses that run without their constant presence, or they create value through ownership rather than personal effort. And the 8-hour system also exploits what behavioral economists call present bias. Poor people must focus on immediate income needs rather than future. They can't invest time in long-term projects because bills. Wealthy people can delay gratification and invest time in projects that they don't need immediate returns because they have existing income. This allows them to build assets that generate increasing value. The time orientation difference creates compound disadvantages for poor people over decades. They stay focused on immediate survival while wealthy people build. The gap widens because different groups allocate time completely differently. But perhaps the most cruel aspect of the 8-hour system is when poor people work long hours and don't build wealth, they assume they need to work even harder or longer. The possibility that the 8-hour system itself prevents wealth building rarely. Instead, people blame themselves for not working hard enough, or they increase their hours rather than questioning the entire framework. Meanwhile, wealthy people understand that the 8-hour system serves their interests. They need workers who sell time consistently at predictable rates. They benefit when people focus on hours rather than profits. The 8-hour workday system maintains itself through what economists call poor people compete with each other for jobs that require time. They bid down their hourly rates to secure employment. This competition ensures that wages stay low while productivity increases over. Workers produce more value per hour, but receive the extra value goes to business owners rather than workers. Wealthy people avoid this competition by owning businesses rather than selling. They profit from worker competition rather than participating in competition. They benefit when workers compete for time-selling opportunities against. The system also creates what sociologists call a time scarcity mindset among workers. Poor people always feel rushed and behind because 8 hours, they don't have time for strategic thinking or long-term planning. This time scarcity prevents people from developing the patient thinking required. Wealth building requires long-term perspective and careful planning over years. Poor people can't develop these skills because work demands immediate. Meanwhile, wealthy people cultivate abundance mindset around time and money because they think strategically about long-term wealth building rather than immediate. They plan investments and business moves over years or decades. Understanding the 8-hour workday trap reveals why conventional career advice, working harder within the system, simply makes you better at. It doesn't teach you how to escape the time for money exchange. The trap continues because it provides psychological satisfaction through routine, and poor people feel productive and virtuous when they work long. But this satisfaction prevents them from questioning whether their time. Understanding how the 8-hour system functions reveals that building wealth you need to transition from selling time to buying time. You need to focus on profit generation rather than hour. The 8-hour workday trap demonstrates how modern economic systems they extract maximum value from people's time while providing they maintain the illusion of fairness while creating systematic disadvantages. This pattern shows how time itself becomes a tool for wealth. Poor people are taught to sell their most valuable resource. Wealthy people are taught to buy and leverage other people's. Hit subscribe if you want more analysis of how work systems extract time from people. Share this with someone working long hours for low pay they need to understand why hard work alone never creates wealth. The 8-hour workday represents one of the most successful time extraction. It convinces people that selling time leads to wealth, while ensuring the system benefits owners who buy time cheaply and sell. Understanding this mechanism doesn't mean you should stop working or avoid responsibility. Rather, it suggests learning to distinguish between time selling that serves you need to recognize when your time builds someone else's wealth. The trap continues because it provides structure and meaning that people working 8 hours feels productive and socially acceptable, even when people derive identity and purpose from their work roles. But this psychological satisfaction often prevents people from recognizing that they feel busy and important while remaining financially stagnant over. The activity creates an illusion of progress without actual wealth. Understanding how the 8-hour system functions reveals that escaping requires you must transition from selling time to owning time, leveraged assets. You need systems that generate income without your constant physical. The 8-hour workday trap demonstrates how modern capitalism it extracts maximum value from human time while maintaining it preserves the illusion of fairness while creating systematic time. This pattern shows how time allocation becomes the primary mechanism for different economic classes have completely different relationships with time, and the system ensures that time sellers remain time sellers while time buyers. The time trap also creates what economists call opportunity cost blindness. Poor people focus on immediate hourly wages rather than long-term. They don't calculate what else they could do with This blindness prevents people from recognizing that time spent in low-wage The same hours could be invested in learning skills, building, but immediate income needs force people into time-selling cycles. Meanwhile, wealthy people constantly evaluate opportunity costs of their time allocation. They ask whether each activity generates the highest possible return. They delegate or eliminate activities that don't contribute to wealth. The opportunity cost awareness allows wealthy people to optimize their time. They focus on high-leverage activities that create ongoing income streams. They avoid low-value time commitments that poor people accept. Consider how the 8-hour system affects family and social relationships. Poor people spend most waking hours away from family working. They have limited energy for relationships or personal development after. This time, scarcity damages social connections that could provide support, and poor people become isolated in work-family cycles without time for. They lose access to networks that might offer better opportunities. Meanwhile, wealthy people structure their time around relationship building and social. They attend events, build connections, and invest time in networks. These relationships often lead to business opportunities and wealth building. The social isolation created by 8-hour schedules prevents poor people. They don't have time to build the relationships that create. They remain trapped in individual work cycles rather than. The 8-hour system also affects health and well-being in ways. Poor people often sacrifice health for income because missing work, they delay medical care and ignore stress because work demands. This health deterioration reduces their ability to work effectively over time. Poor health leads to lower productivity and missed work days. The cycle creates downward spirals where work demands damage health. Meanwhile, wealthy people prioritize health because it affects their ability to. They invest in healthcare, exercise, and stress management because they understand that health is essential for long-term wealth. The health differences compound over decades, creating additional advantages for wealthy. Good health allows them to work more effectively when poor health forces poor people into lower-paying jobs. But perhaps the most insidious aspect of the 8-hour system is it trains people to think in hourly increments rather than. Poor people measure value by time spent rather than results. This hourly thinking prevents people from developing the result-oriented mindset required. Wealth building requires focus on outcomes rather than time investment. But 8-hour conditioning makes people time-focused rather than result-focused. The hourly mindset also affects how people approach problem-solving and decision-making. Poor people ask, how long will this take? While wealthy people ask, what result will this produce? Regardless of this, different questioning leads to completely different choices and strategies. Poor people optimize for time efficiency, while wealthy people optimize. The focus determines the outcomes people achieve throughout the 8-hour workday system has also evolved to become more. Modern technology allows employers to extract even more value from. Workers are expected to be available outside official hours through email, phones, and remote work. Extend the extraction beyond 8. Poor people often work unpaid overtime or remain on call. They don't receive additional compensation for this extended time availability. Meanwhile, wealthy people use technology to leverage their time more effectively. They automate processes, delegate tasks, and create systems that work. Technology serves their wealth-building goals rather than extending the technological divide creates additional advantages for wealthy people while increasing. Poor people work longer hours with technology, while wealthy people, the same tools serve different masters with opposite effects. Understanding the 8-hour workday trap requires recognizing that time. It functions as a wealth extraction mechanism disguised as honest. It maintains inequality by ensuring different time relationships. The system works because it appears fair on the surface, while everyone gets the same 24 hours, but different economic classes. The hidden advantage comes from buying versus selling those hours. Breaking free from the 8-hour trap requires developing time leverage gradually. You must build income sources that don't require your constant. This transition takes time, but eventually creates freedom from time selling. The goal isn't to avoid work, but to change your relationship. Instead of selling time, you focus on owning assets that, instead of trading hours for money, you trade money for. This fundamental shift in time relationships distinguishes people who build wealth from those who remain poor. They understand that time is either working for you or against you. The wealthy ensure time works for them, while poor people work for time. The 8-hour workday trap ultimately reveals how modern economic systems control people through time manipulation. It creates the illusion of fairness while extracting maximum value from human life energy systematically. Understanding this trap is the first step toward developing a different relationship with time and work. You can begin questioning whether your current time allocation serves your long-term wealth-building goals effectively. The choice is whether you'll continue selling time or begin buying time from others gradually. This decision determines whether you build wealth or remain trapped in cycles that benefit other people's wealth-building efforts. The 8-hour system will continue operating until enough people understand how it extracts value from their lives. Knowledge of time manipulation must spread to create pressure for different work arrangements and compensation structures. But in the short term, you live in a system where time selling is expected and time buying requires capital that poor people don't have access to initially. Understanding this reality helps you see why conventional career advice fails to create wealth. The 8-hour workday trap demonstrates how time itself becomes a tool for maintaining economic inequality between different social classes. It ensures that some people sell their most valuable resource while others accumulate and leverage human time profitably. This pattern shows how modern capitalism can maintain inequality through systems that appear fair while creating systematic advantages for those who already possess capital to buy other people's time and effort.